Honestly, if this movie came out a few years ago, I would probably be really excited for it. But the more I see of it in trailers and TV spots, it's becoming very clear to me that The Flash will be nothing more than DC's version of No Way Home. And no, I do not mean that as a compliment. Let's discuss.
I watch so you don't have to.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
As it stands right now, the Flash movie is desperately trying to ride the nostalgia train similar to No Way Home. And they are using Michael Keaton's Batman to carry the load.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
And make no mistake about it, the only reason that this movie has any level of hype or interest around it is because of Michael Keaton's inclusion and not much else. I've seen people, believe it or not, actually try to manufacture hype around Supergirl, with some people on Twitter even suggesting that Supergirl would be one of the main reasons that people go and watch this film. In what world, in what universe are general audiences showing up to this movie to see Supergirl? Especially this Supergirl.
What the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie?
A Supergirl with a character design that looks almost as boring as her character will probably end up being. I especially don't think that anyone is interested in seeing this character take up screen time that probably should have been dedicated to Henry Cavill's Superman. Not only that, but in the new trailer, they look to be retroactively redoing certain scenes from Man of Steel, and basically putting Supergirl in Superman's place in that scenario. They're even bringing back Zod, who I'm sure only exists in this film to build up the character of Supergirl that nobody cares about. Now, it's egregious enough that they're doing Man of Steel reenactments at all, but it's even more insulting that they're taking one of the most visually impressive comic book movies in recent memory and replacing it with typical CGI bullshit. Let me make something very clear if you don't know this about me already. I absolutely despise CGI because 90% of the time it sucks and usually it ruins the movie for me.
Why do these things always happen to me?
Some people may not know this, but great CGI takes years to perfect and to make realistic. Not to mention the countless amounts of resources you need to pump into that process if you want it to look as good as it can be. Why do you think Avatar's CGI is leaps and bounds better than all of the other CGI that we get right now? It's because James Cameron worked on it for nearly 14 years. That's the difference between mind-blowing, visually stunning CGI and shit that looks like a bad video game cutscene. Now, you would think that as many times as this movie's been delayed, they would have had enough time to fine-tune Flash's CGI.
It's been 84 years.
But if what I'm seeing in the trailer is any indication, it looks like DC is not only stealing the MCU's story structure, but they're also stealing their philosophy on rushed, poor CGI. I mean, Michael Keaton's in this movie, right? It doesn't matter what it looks like. People are going to go watch it anyway. It doesn't matter that a film from 2013 looks more clean and visually impressive than this movie that's being released in 2023.
I don't get it.
Bad CGI is a deal breaker for me, especially when so many modern movies rely so heavily on it. When you create a movie that looks like this and you are very clearly putting in minimal effort as it pertains to its visuals that are almost completely being created in a computer and not practically, to me your movie automatically loses all credibility from a filmmaking perspective. And I don't care if this story is the second coming of a Shakespearean drama. If the visuals look like shit, it ruins the whole experience and it takes people out of the movie. Period.
That makes sense.
And even worse, people have a more keen eye for this type of thing now. Because the more you watch these movies, the worse they get. What happened when No Way Home became available on streaming? People did rewatches and all of a sudden, all the visual flaws in that movie became harder and harder to ignore. I mean, No Way Home literally digitally recreated a bridge that actually exists, rather than just filming on that bridge.
Why are you the way that you are?
We are firmly in the green screen era of filmmaking, and it absolutely blows. Because nothing is real anymore. Nothing feels real anymore. I'm not being transported into another universe that's been brought to life by movie magic. Instead, I'm being dropped into a shitty video game that feels lifeless. And because of that, I have no connection to what's going on as a viewer.
How can you not care?
Like this.
As for the other major issue I see with this movie that makes it very similar to a No Way Home situation, and of course I'm talking about the over-reliance on nostalgia. Yes, nostalgia bait rears its ugly head once again. And make no mistake about it, it's trying to get everyone. It's trying to bait in Snyder fans with Batfleck and Man of Steel references. They're trying to appeal to the 80s and 90s crowd with Michael Keaton, but similar to Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's inclusion in No Way Home, that jolt of adrenaline that people get seeing these characters on screen for the first time in years is temporary. It quickly fades. And once that initial hype is gone, if you don't have something else in this movie from a story perspective to keep people coming back to it, this movie will be forgotten as quickly as all of the other comic book movies we've gotten recently.
That's why no one will remember your name.
Modern audiences are all about the instant gratification of Easter eggs and cameos, seeing something familiar that inspires feelings of excitement. But regardless of how big of a fan those people claim to be, once something comes along that offers a new jolt of excitement, they will quickly move on. At least No Way Home was smart enough to save Tobey and Andrew for the movie and not include them in the trailer, even though everyone kind of knew that they would be there anyway. Meanwhile, The Flash is removing all mystery and all mystique, and are selling this movie on the character that they should be using to tease people into going to the theater.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
And at this point, with all the trailers and TV spots, I feel like I've seen all of Michael Keaton's scenes already. And by the way, the Let's Get Nuts reference in the new trailer is pretty cringe, and exactly the type of thing I would expect from a company and a movie that's desperately trying to copy the MCU. Listen, from a story perspective, I would love to see Michael Keaton's Batman get closure, just not like this.
Not like this. Not like this.
Not with him being used as a gimmick to sell a Flash movie that would have zero positive buzz around it without him. And if you need any other reason to be concerned about this movie, James Gunn himself is co-signing it. Not that he has much of a choice. This movie is supposed to reset this franchise, but in reality it could be nothing more than a really bad sign of things to come.
Y'all be cool. Nah.